jump up here if you'd rather do something tonight. I'll let you take it. Good evening. Tonight I'm going to talk about the subject of stress. How many of us are stressed or get stressed from time to time? Yeah, that's what I thought. 2 hands, Jack. Overall, I'm a very optimistic person, and I think I handle things pretty well, but there's plenty of times that I feel that heavy load on my shoulders from time to time. I think we're living in a very high-strung, stressed-out culture today. Stress sometimes is something that we have to recognize and definitely address. I've got a story here. I'm not sure where I got it from, but I've had it for a while, and I'm going to read it. A young lady confidently walked around the room while leading and explaining stress management to an audience with a raised glass of water. Everyone knew she was going to ask the ultimate question, half empty or half full. She fooled them all. "How heavy is this glass of water?" she inquired with a smile. Answers called out that ranged from 8 ounces to 20 ounces. She replied, "The absolute weight doesn't matter. It depends on how long I hold it. If I hold it for a minute, that's not a problem. If I hold it for an hour, I'll have an ache in my right arm. If I hold it for a day, you'll have to call an ambulance. In each case, it's the same weight, but the longer I hold it, the heavier it becomes." She continued, "And that's the way it is with stress. If we carry our burdens all the time, sooner or later, as the burdens become increasingly heavy, we won't be able to carry on. As with the glass of water, you have to put it down for a while and rest before holding it again. When we're refreshed, we can carry on with the burden, holding stress longer and better each time practice. So as early in the evening as you can, put all your burdens down, don't carry them through the evening and into the night. Pick them up tomorrow. Whatever burdens you're carrying now, let them down for a moment, relax, pick them up later after you've rested. Life is short, enjoy it." There's several other things on this story, but a little tidbit here at the end, which I thought was pretty good, is accept the fact that some days you're the pigeon and some days you're the statue. And that's definitely the case with stress sometimes. As parents, I think the people that are most affected when we're stressed is our children. I'm going to read a kids quiz, and I want you to think about how your children would answer these questions. Number 1, do your parents spend time with you? My parents hardly ever spend time with me alone. My parents spend time with me, but I wish they would spend more. My parents spend a lot of great time together. My parents and I spend a lot of great time together doing fun things. Number 2, do you respect your parents? I don't respect my parents. I respect some things about my parents, but I don't look up to them in other areas. Overall, I respect my parents. My parents are the best role models in the world. Number 3, do your parents show you affection? My parents hardly ever hug me, compliment me, or tell me they love me. Sometimes my parents hug me or tell me they love me, but I wish they would do it more. My parents always tell me they love me, they always hug me, and they tell me how proud they are of me. Number 4, do your parents enjoy being with you? My parents don't really seem like to hang out with me. My parents sometimes have fun hanging out with me, but sometimes their mind's on other things. My parents and I have a blast together. And the last one, which I think is most important, does your family pray and worship together? My parents never talk about God. Sometimes my parents talk about faith, but I don't think it really means much to them. My parents love God, but they don't pray as much as they need to. My parents love God very much and are very excited about their faith and share it with our family and others. Again, as parents, I think that we'd like to think that our kids would choose those first answers of these questions. But if we're coming home stressed out every day of the week, they're probably going to choose some of those. We want them to choose the last ones, I'm sorry. But sometimes they would probably choose those first answers if we're living a stressed life. I've got some scriptures to support these thoughts in regards to the importance of managing our stress. Ephesians 6:4 tells us not to provoke our children. 2 Corinthians 2-3 tell us that we need to exemplify a good life. Deuteronomy 6:6-9 tells us to impress the commandments on our children. And we should do that with spending time with our children and not empty time with them. And we should never give up on our children, our kids. Luke 15:20-24 tells us the story of the prodigal son. And can you imagine how stressed out he was in the situation he went through? But he was a father that never gave up hope and was ready to receive his children, or his son, back with open arms. In our daily Bible reading, which I do on my phone, Tammy says it's not Bible reading because I listen to it, but I think it is. So in my daily Bible listening, I've got to Joshua, and I just heard this the other day, and I was thinking about this, but when you think about the Israel people and what they were dealing with, and the Israelites, and when they finally got to the Promised Land, they had been living a pretty stressed life. Well, when you think about Joshua and what he was responsible for, showing God's commandments and living that life and being the example for these people, I think he was probably fairly stressed as well. And it's funny that Steve used this verse today in the bulletin for a different reason, but I think it's relevant here too. I've heard it many times in my life, but never thought of it in this way. Joshua 24:15. It says, "But if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether the gods of your ancestors served beyond the Euphrates, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you are living now. But as for me and my household, we'll serve the Lord." And I think that's the answer. I think to manage our stress, if we're serving the Lord, if we're worshiping with our brothers and our sisters, if we're helping others, spreading the gospel, I don't think you're going to have time to be stressed. If there's anything we can do for you tonight, please come as we stand and sing.